All right, everyone. So, hi, my name is Luiz Santana. I am mobile chapter lead at former mytaxi. Yes, I work for free now, and I'm still getting used to it, though. But yeah, we are not here to talk about my CV. Let's talk about actually MotionLayout. It actually came out with ConstraintLayout 2.0, still in beta, and when I first saw it, first heard about it, I started to get around, start reading. Some questions came up, and I would say it's questions that most of you might have when first take a look at it, which would be when, why, and how should I use MotionLayout? I'll try to go through them, but before I would like to talk and give a little context about our old friend Android and some of the options we actually go and have there. So I'd start listening some of those. Obviously, it's not all of them, but it's probably the most popular ones. And I will start with the Animated Vector Drawable, which it is pretty famous. I mean, everyone knows this hamburger menu that turns to become this back arrow. It is really simple to use, but it's very, very limited. It's just like this tiny image where you can change the state and notify the user on the user actually creates an action, do an action. We also have property animation framework. No, you don't have to read the code. It is just to show how hard it is actually to read, to maintain, to deal with it. This whole translation of elements, it is you got to translate based on these numbers, not density pixels, not actually regarding another element in the screen. Although you can do a lot of things, like you can change alpha, you can scale, rotate, and so on. But again, very complex, very hard to maintain. We do have the layout transitions, which, it is useful. You can, instead of just having a view appearing and disappearing, it will do this cool, simple animation. And it's very easy to do, but still very simple. We have also the layout transitions with Transition Manager. And this one is actually quite cool. I mean, it helps you to have a cool flow in your app, so transitions between fragments, between screens. But although it's somewhere hard to handle, the in-between states, I had plenty of problems with flickering images, especially if you have a thumbnail, then you want to load it bigger later, or images flowing above the action bar. So everything is fixable, but again, it's kind of whole drill to deal with it. And we have Lottie, which it is pretty cool by the fact that your designer team, you can just create something in After Effects, give you the file that they can convert themselves. You just upload, and theoretically everything is fine. Yeah, not always the case, but it is a cool option. But it's more like onboarding screens, showing some explanations, splash screens, and so on. It's not, again, really flow of animations and so on. So I'd say that's kind of brings the why even, kind of helps on answering why. We still have this big gap on how to do animation. And I personally have worked with a bunch of projects where we have iOS and Android. And then iOS is doing a cool animation and easy somehow. And Android, we are dealing with flickering animations, Samsung optimizing their way the things, and so on. So yeah, that helps. But I would like to give my perspective of why. First, it's very declarative. And by that, I mean it's very, very easy to read, to understand. You take a look, and you can see how the animation goes. It is this mix between Transition Manager with the shared elements, the coordinator layout, and you still can animate any property. And also, to add to that, we have some tools. So I'll go through all of those lists, show you some examples, some samples on how to implement things. At least an introduction, so you can see simple examples here. And I would like to start talking about declarative. What do I mean by that? Every animation in MotionLayout is defined by a motion scene. So you just have this XML file with a motion scene, and you can easily define how your transition goes. What a transition is how it starts and how it ends. So you want to move an element from A to B, and that's how you define it. It's in your transition. But you also define how you trigger this, because, I mean, there are different ways to do it, right? And I will start showing you a really very simple sample. So we can have an activity that will be our layout, and it basically just has the image with ID button. And instead of using a constraint layout here, we just use our motion layout. By the way, motion layout extends from constraint layout, so you'd have everything that constraint layout has. And then to create our first transition, our first animation, we would also create a layout with the start position. And the start position basically will attach our view with ID button to the top. So we have a constraint horizontally to the parent, but also on the top of the parent. And the end position is pretty much the same, but now we attach the button. And basically, that's our transition. So when I said declarative, it is pretty declarative. So here I have a reference to how it starts. So I reference my layout, and there it is like my layout with start position. There I also reference the end, which is my reference to end position. And I do have the duration of my animation. But it's still, OK, how do I start my animation? So then I can have my trigger, which in this case I choose to have on swipe, because the on click it is like also really easy to do. You just change the on swipe to on click, and then you have your anchor. So here I have the view with ID of button, and I'm saying when I drag button, I want the animation to happen. And just by having that, like very simple, I can run my app. Cool. Yeah. And once I run my app, you can see that the whole animation is there. So I drag it. If I drag it fast, it goes fast. If I drag it just halfway there, it comes back. This whole easy in and easing out of the animation, the speed, it's all implemented. And again, very simple to do it. If we had to do that in animation property framework, you'd have to handle the check how many pixels it's going. You've got to do the easy in, easy out. So would not be that easy. But still, I ain't impressed. You created 4 files. So you created activity, you created the motion scene, the start position, the end position. Yeah, it is cool, but I'm not creating 3 layouts for every view I have. So here it goes the second sample I have to show you. We have constraint sets, and that can help a lot. So let's assume I have this other activity, which is pretty similar also, but instead of having that view, I just have an image view. And I can create a constraint set for that. What is a constraint set? It is, yeah, pretty self-explanatory, just a set of constraints. Here you could have multiple constraints. In this case, I just have the one for image, because it's the only view I have. And here I define the height, width, and where is attached. So in this case, again, attach it to the top. And I basically add to my motion scene. And as you can see, instead of having the reference as a constraint set to my layout, I just have the reference to the actual ID of my constraint set. And again, very declarative. Everything is inside my single file. It's really easy to understand. I do the same thing, to the end, and everything's set up. Again, we just run the app. So if you take a look, it's basically the same thing, just with the image view. But now we could reduce just basically to our 2 files. So we just have the motion scene, and we just have the simple activity. I previously also mentioned the fact that we can change any property on our view. And to give you a sample about it, I will edit any attribute I have it. So I'll get this very same example I have, but instead of having an image view there, now I do have an image filter view. So for those not familiar, it also comes from the package of ConstraintLayout, but it is basically an image view where you can set some filters to it. Very straightforward. And the only change I do is I can come here, and in my constraint, I can set a custom attribute. So I say that it is a float value, so it starts with 1, finishes with 0, and while the user is moving, so it goes automatic, doing 09, 08, and so on until it reaches 0. Running that, you can see that while we drag, it starts getting black and white. Yep, very straightforward, very simple to do it. And now, yeah, you gave me examples. They were cool, but still, you're just moving things to A to B. How we can do more? And for that, keyframes are the key. And again, as I said, we define our transitions, and basically that's how a transition should be. It should be just from A to B. But it doesn't mean that you cannot do something between, right? So here it comes the keyframes, which basically is how you define what's going to happen in this between. So you can move your elements a little bit. You could set custom attributes to it right in between of your animation. And I can show you, like, let's assume again that we just have this button image, top and bottom. Those are the constraint set. And what I do here, I create a keyframe set to my transition. And what I'm doing here, so I create a key attribute. I'm updating the scale to be double the size for both X and Y. I do change my rotation to 45. But when do? I do at frame position 50. But what frame position 50 means is basically the percentage. So right in the middle, I want it to be double the size. I want it to rotate 45 degrees. And the target is my button. So basically, that would be right in the middle, be updating and rotating. But I can also do position. So yeah, we have a straight line that comes from top to bottom. But now I want to do a position relative to my parent. And for that, I just set the percent X to 20%. So it will slightly shift it to 20% of my X position. I can also say that this is right in the middle and for the button, for same target. And just by adding that, if we run our app, you can see that it does now this different trajectory because we created a keyframe. And another really cool thing about MotionLayout is the fact that you can just set an attribute, show paths to true, and it will show this entire path of your animation. So even shows the keyframe. So if you can see, I don't know how easy it is to see, there is this pink dot in the middle, and that means your keyframe, right where the thing happened. So it's really easy to debug, and if you set this show path to true, it only shows in the bug build, so you'd have no problem if you forgot to change and send to release. And that's, yeah, quite cool. But also to illustrate any change in attributes, I would like to change the background color for this very same image, this very same square, to some random color. And the start, I also set to the end another color. And it is very cool because out of the box, it already does a smooth transition between colors. So we can just run, and if you can see it, it basically like goes from blue to pink, like very, very easy. I might be colorblind, so if that's not the color, just let me know. And I hope by those very simple examples, I can answer how, or at least how to start. Because, yeah, that's very simple and not like real production. But at least that can sparkle you the idea of how to start and think about like how you can use it at. But also, the when. I throw you the question of when. OK, when do I use? And the when is obviously very peculiar to each project you are working. And you should not actually like just put animations because they are cool. you should obviously try to put meaningful animations there. And to give you some examples of when, I brought some of the samples that you can find at GitHub of Google samples. And it's like has quite a lot of examples there. They are very complete there, so you can just go there and take a look on the code and so on. But here you can see this very popular in the internet example for MotionLayout, which is actually this YouTube sample. So just by having a single XML file and really easy to understand, you could create an animation like that. And this gray part could be another fragment. So basically, you just hide your current fragment, put it in a button as YouTube does. There is another one which is you can actually create this layout transition. So as I said, it feels to me that it's kind of a mix of like transition manager. So you have shared elements. You could do this transition between the fragments. So here, the first fragment is this small square. And while I start like to drag it, it starts becoming this other fragment. Doing, again, the whole color already goes smooth. And yeah, you just have your second fragment popping up. This other one is, you could easily implement a coordinator layout out of it or something similar. You could do actually even a drawer menu or, yeah, what your imagination brings. So yeah, that's about when. It's more about when you find it. But tools, it brings tools, yeah, which is cool. But if you search for the Google team meetups or presentations they can show some tools, which is nice, like this one in Android Studio, but still not there, still not available. It's just our Google team, unfortunately. And yeah, once it's there, I think it will be pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know yet. But it is very useful because here you could see your keyframes, so those pink dots are actually the keyframes, and you can see animation happen on Android Studio, and for now we don't have anything like that, and that would be very useful. Although you do have this sample here, where you can work with those keyframes and key cycles, where you can work different speeds and so on. And with this one, you can download in this very same GitHub for Google samples. It's just a jar file where you run on your app, and you can simulate how it's going to look like. It has like those waves where you can customize. It shows even the code where you can do it. Yeah, and there, so that's actually quite helpful. That's actually pretty much it what I had to brought. But I would like also to say what's next, which is keyframes and key cycles. I think that's what you guys would like to dig in once you actually get the understanding out of it. Nested motion layouts and the whole interpolation and transition. So as you could see, I did the transition like the speed. So once you just drag a little bit, it does the easing, and then it slowly comes back, but you can update those easing transitions and so on. And I would like also to point you the reference of Nicolas. So he's from the Google team who is actually building ConstraintLayout. That's his Twitter actually there. And it has like a really, really good series of blog posts there. So you can find it like 6 or 7, I don't know, articles about it, and it's very complete. So yeah, this whole presentation was based on that. And yeah, with that, I would like to say thank you. And if you have any questions.